everyone, it's Miss Rogers. So today I'm going to go through some terms that might help you with the Keystone exams. These are terms that you'll either see in some of the questions or they might just help you when you're reading a passage to help you answer some of the questions. So there's 6 terms today. So what I want you to do is I'm going to go through, all the boards will look like this with the word, the definition, and some examples, and I'll explain them a little further. I want you to take notes while I'm doing this, and I will tell you when is best to pause the video so that you can finish copying the notes before we move on to the next word. Okay? So the first word is synonyms. The definition: a word having the same or almost nearly the same meaning as another word. So these words can be used interchangeably most of the time. Examples of that: the word beautiful and the word attractive. If I have a sentence, I can use either of these words in that sentence and it would still make sense. So for example, if I say, that girl is so beautiful, I can also say, that girl is so attractive, and it would basically mean the same thing. Same goes for the words funny and humorous. So once again, I could say, he is so funny, his jokes always make me laugh. Or I could say, he is so humorous, his jokes always make me laugh. They're interchangeable, okay? And one way you can remember this is synonym starts with an S, so synonyms mean the same. Synonyms, same, okay? So you can go ahead and pause here, copy the notes if you need to, and then we'll move on to the next word. Okay, so the next word is antonyms. So this is opposite of synonyms. These words are opposite meaning to one another. They do not mean the same thing, okay? So some examples of this, which you guys might know this already, but bad and good, hard and easy, fat and slim. They are opposite of one another. You can't interchange them in a sentence. They do not mean the same thing. Once again, if you need to catch up on the notes, you can pause here. Our next term, which you might have not heard of yet, but it's affixes. So it's a longer definition, but they are additional elements placed at the beginning or the end of a root stem or word, or in the body of a word, to modify its meaning, so to sort of change its meaning. And this is split into 2 categories, prefixes and suffixes, which will be our next 2 terms. So go ahead and pause here if you need to copy this definition. So like I said, affixes are split into 2 categories. The first category is prefixes. So prefixes appear at the beginning of the words. They are in the beginning. Some common examples: dis, anti, pre, by, re. There's many, many more, but these are just some common ones. And here are some sentences. He bought a new bicycle. By would be the prefix, and it is telling us what kind of cycle it is, right? There can be bicycles with 2 wheels. There could be tricycles with 3, unicycles with 1, right? So this prefix is changing the meaning of that word a little bit so that it makes it more specific. The next example, the result was predetermined. So the prefix is pre, and this is telling us that it was already determined before, right? The result was already determined before, okay? So once again, prefixes appear at the beginning of the words to kind of change its meaning a little bit. So you can pause here if you need to catch up with the notes, and then we'll move on. So the next type of affix is a suffix, and this appears at the end of the word. So prefixes are in the beginning, suffixes are at the end, okay? Examples: able, full, and ly. Once again, these are just a few examples. There's many more. Sentences: she plays wonderfully. Now this word actually has 2 suffixes added to it. So it has the full, wonderful, and it has the ly, which makes it an adjective. So it changes our word a little bit just so it makes sense with the sentence. His jobs are plentiful. full would be the suffix, tells us that his jobs are plentiful. He has a lot of them. Okay, so this is at the end, changes the meaning just a little bit. Okay, you can pause here if you need to catch up on the notes, and then we'll move on. And our last term that we have that's very important for the Keystone exams are context clues. So the definition, these are hints that an author gives to help define difficult or unusual words within a book, okay, or a story. Now, context clues can tell us maybe if there's a word that you have never heard of. It could help you figure out what it is, but it could also help you figure out other elements of the story that you may not know, like the setting, the characters. So your context clues is kind of what surrounds the word that you don't know to kind of help you figure it out. So here's an example of that. The annual bazaar is scheduled for the last day of school. It is always a fun festival. Now, bazaar is kind of a different word that we don't use often. So maybe when you're reading this Keystone passage, you don't know what that word means. But as I keep reading into the next sentence, I see it says, it was always a fun festival. And you can think to yourself, okay, I know what a festival is. It's like a carnival, a party. So that must mean what bazaar means, okay? So I used my context clues in this next sentence to help me figure out what this word is that I might have not known before. Like I said, this is really helpful and important for you guys to know and remember, because sometimes the Keystone passages are a little harder. You might not know some words, but using your context clues can really help you figure the words out. Okay, so you can pause here, finish this up if you need to. Okay, so we went through all 6 terms. We have synonyms, antonyms, affixes, prefixes, suffixes, and context clues. Once again, these 6 terms will really help you with the Keystone exams. And tomorrow, you can ask me any questions you might have about the 6 terms. And we'll also do some exercises in class that will help you use your context clues and use all the other key terms that we learned today.